Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another weekly edition of Timeout Talks, which is brought to you by Chase and Throws Custom T-shirts and accessories, and is also sponsored by the Ice Shaker, the only baller you will ever need. Go buy your custom Timeout Talks apparel via www.chaseandthrows.com, and you guys can purchase your Ice Shakers at www.iceshaker.com. We've got James filling in for Ben today. We've got a pretty loaded episode. Yes, glad to have you on, James. We're going to be talking some NFL offseason. We're going to get a little bit back on the Bruins and Celtics, specifically the Bruins. We'll talk, should the Bruins make a move for this Vladislav Gavrikov, if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, right there. We'll dive a little into that. We'll get to the NBA All-Star break. Jason Tatum, winning the All-Star MVP. Also has a shoe that just dropped. There's been some weird things going on with him, Brown, the Celtics organization. I heard Joe Mazzulla on 98.5 earlier today. We'll dive definitely more into that. And James probably won't be on next week, so maybe we'll end the show with his little prediction for John Jones versus Cyril Gahn. That fight is next Saturday. We'll preview that. But we've got a lot to kind of get on the show with. The chat isn't booming yet, but hopefully it will catch up. But let's start things off right here with your hometown hero, Jason Tatum, who scored 55 points in the All-Star game. James, I'm just going to come right at you with a hard-hitting question here, and it might not even be that hard-hitting. You know his shoe just got dropped. He's the All-Star MVP. Does this mean anything?
Do you mean like in terms like maybe a weird hint that he may leave?
Say is it important? From my understanding, I've been seeing people go back and forth like they don't play defense. Like this is kind of like giving out a participation award. Like, do you think him winning the MVP means anything?
Okay, I got you. Sorry, I got you. Okay, so is like winning the MVP award important? I think it's important to him because it's named after Kobe Bryant. We all know the connection to Kobe Bryant with Jason Tatum. He has all these profile pictures of him, and obviously they worked out together super close. Obviously the game, I think it's kind of like a scrimmage. They just want to have fun, but I think it actually does mean something to the guy, especially, like I said, being named after Kobe.
I like that. I was watching the game with Jared. He was rooting for Donovan Mitchell to win. They were kind of going eye and eye here. We're getting a comment here. We'll ignore that one. We're getting a little marketing comment out of Twitch. Every once in a while we get those. But yeah, back to the Celtics too. I know some people were kind of talking about the rift between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Do you see anything there? I know they had that little moment where they guarded each other, but some people have hinted towards, maybe Jaylen Brown wants to be that guy winning MVP, or is this all just noise to you?
I think it's all noise. I think that I think it's a healthy competition. I think Brown wants to be the best, and maybe one day he will want to be Batman, but I think for now he's okay being Robin.
Good way to word that one. I like the Batman analogy. Anything else kind of stick out to you during the All-Star break? Mac McClung, what do you think of that? G Leaguer coming in?
I mean, honestly, I don't usually agree with Stephen A. Smith, but he said something the other day. Sorry, Jameson's kind of loud right now.
He's good. He's good. Sorry. We welcome Jameson in here.
I'm just gonna slide over here. He's excited. I will say this. He said something about LeBron ruining the All-Star dunk contest, and I totally agree. I kind of find it embarrassing that these guys have not done it. You know, Dwayne Wade. I think the biggest superstar in the last 10 to 15 years is Dwight Howard, Blake Griffin, I guess. He put on a show this weekend. Don't get me wrong, but they signed him like 2 days ago. So yeah, a little weird. But the kid put on a show, no doubt about it.
100%. I was too busy watching the Elimination Chamber, as you know, big WWE guy. But yeah, Mac McClung, G Leaguer, kind of an interesting thing. I didn't even know who he was before. I guess there were people claiming that he was going to win. I don't remember where I heard this, from what sports station I heard it, but somebody did come out and say that he was going to win it. You always have those like random people predicting those things that end up coming to fruition. But the NBA All-Star break, I thought was okay. Damian Lillard winning the three-point contest. I've always been more of a three-point contest fan than the dunk contest. I feel like it's kind of, I know you mentioned Dwight Howard, Blake Griffin. It's kind of fell off since then. And I feel like one of the biggest things, and no knock to Mac McClung and no knock to some of those other guys, but I feel like it's just, the dunk contest has just been for guys solely who aren't stars. Like, they're just known for the NBA dunk contest. They're not known for being a star within the league or a household name. And I feel like that's kind of made an impact on me. I feel like you look at the three-point contest, at least I know, and even a casual would know. I know I'm more than a casual, but a casual would know who's participating in the three-point contest. You click over to the dunk contest, and it's just a bunch of randoms, I feel like. And I feel like that's kind of an issue with the NBA. I like the whole promoting G Leaguers and promoting some of these guys who can just straight up dunk, but I kind of agree with you. I think that there's kind of an issue not having guys like Zion, LeBron James, John Morant want to participate in it.
Yeah, like Dwayne Wade never did it. And yeah, I mean, if you do look up McClung's like highlight reels, it's like, especially when he was at Georgetown and he transferred to Texas Tech. But I mean, this kid has been dunking like this for a long time. He's got crazy hops. So yeah, credit to him. I wish other guys would step up. Zion would probably get hurt, so it's probably a good thing he doesn't do it. But I mean, it's kind of sad. I don't know if it's like egos. These guys are scared to lose or what, but I wish we would get bigger names to do it.
100%. Love to see LeBron James or Zion in there. As you know, me and Ben were kind of going back and forth a little bit. I'm going to kind of keep this in the NBA. I'm not going to go Celtics yet. But what's your thoughts? I was listening to, I think it was NBA Today. I heard an interesting take, and a take that I've liked a lot, which was the Clippers kind of taking that rise. That's a weird team I have this hunch for. I don't know why. I've knocked Paul George, and if you know me well, you know how I feel about Paul George and him being able to go far in the NBA playoffs. However, after the trade deadline, James, how do you feel? Like, which teams do you see as, real contenders? Like, we can actually start throwing the word contenders out for an NBA championship.
Like it. So you want me to start with the Eastern Conference?
You could start with whatever team pops to mind. You can go
like
conference by
true
conference.
Contenders, like teams that I think have a legit chance to win it.
Legit chance to win it. Like, not just making a playoff run, like win it.
Celtics for sure. Building off last year. You had Brogdon. You had a few other things. I know you lost Ime, but Joe's done a good job. I love the timing of making him, official head coach. I feel like it's good timing. He doesn't have to have that interim linger over him. He's done a great job. Obviously Milwaukee to me. Giannis, you can never count Giannis and them out. Middleton's starting to get healthy. Jay Crowder didn't play well last year, but he should help them somewhat. Lopez has been good. This is going to be a little weird, but I actually like Cleveland better than Philly. I don't trust Philly. And there's also these reports coming out that I saw a thing the other day. Harden is going to head back to Houston. So I just don't know. I don't know. Something weird about them. Something always happens. I find it. I don't know. It's hard for when the best player on your team's a big man. So we'll see. I like Cleveland. I think they're better. I think they're big. They're really big. Mobley's legit. They got Mitchell. They're deep. So those would be my teams here. I could see Brooklyn falling back a little now. So you want me to do the Western Conference?
Let's hear it out.
I can't. I mean, Denver, obviously, I think they're playing really well. This could be their year. I'm not really buying Memphis. I kind of think they're a pretender. Um, Sacramento, good story. Cool. I don't really take them seriously. Phoenix, obviously, you got to take serious now. They're all in. So Chris Paul has no more excuses. They're kind of filling out their bench a little. I agree with you with the Clippers. You never can count out Kawhi if he's healthy. Paul George. I also will say this: if they don't win it in their time there, I think that's the biggest duo superstar that ever failed. I think that goes under the radar. I'm going to throw in Golden State. They're a team that scares me. I do not want to see them at all. They're like the boogeyman to the Celtics. But there's one team over there that I think is dangerous. It's the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, okay.
Luka and them boys and Kyrie now. It feels like Kyrie's all in for this year. He'll probably be gone next year. Who knows with him? But I am taking them very seriously. I could see them definitely going to the NBA Finals. This team's no joke.
Look at the Mavericks right now. They're the 6th seed, so they're just in the playoffs. They don't have to play in the play-in. But then again, on the other hand, between the 6th, and me and Ben talked about this a little bit last week. If you look at the 6th seed all the way down to like the 12th seed, it's like a 2-game difference. I like the Mavericks as well. I think you've made a great point with the Suns. Whenever you acquire Kevin Durant, a player like him, he's going to put you over the top. Whether some of our group chat likes to agree with that or not, he is a winner. He's proven it. He was the most valuable player on that Warriors team when they won. We've got a couple comments coming in here, and one of them, I would actually love to hear your take on this one. We've got Rob and Zach, so just want to welcome you guys in here. We'll start off with Rob, who is trolling a little bit. He's saying, ew. Then his next statement is, James does not equal ratings, and then the down marker. James takes half a year hiatus and comes back with no crowd pop. James is a jobber at best right now. He's the dark match guy. What is all this slander for Rob? He's just got this like vendetta with you. Maybe it's the ice shaker thing.
There's a long beef going on here. It's like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. We'll never fully trust each other. So I'm Sami. He's Kevin. He's jealous. I'm in the spotlight right now.
I like that. And hey, we've seen Rob kind of shy away in moments when he's been given the spotlight opportunities. We saw at the live show he didn't really want to get up on stage. So, and I know you've kind of shed a little bit of light on that. Do you have anything to say on that as well, calling out Rob?
Yeah, kind of behind the scenes, I've been working with him on his his promos and his stage fright a little bit. So we're getting there. He was kind of like Roman Reigns in the beginning when he couldn't really drop a promo. So he'll get there though.
Rob, I love it. James giving it back to Rob. The one guy that you seem to just ruffle feathers to, you had him all riled up with the Atlanta Falcons comments when we did the Bold Take show. You know where this is going. Zach Alves back in the comments. Let's go out of Facebook. Speaking of hiatuses, Zach is back. His statement: the Pelicans are contenders. James, what do we feel about that? You didn't mention them, so.
I just don't trust Zion. I mean, who can? This guy's played like 114 games out of like 200 and something. I get why he's saying this. If he's healthy, I guess they are. But like, I don't know. Do you trust Zion, Josh?
I don't, and I know we've had this conversation at one of our other jobs about just dependability, and you know me, I hammer this home all the time. Availability is the best dependability. Dependability, being available is the best dependability. You get what I'm trying to say. I butchered the statement, but it kind of reminds me of Jacob deGrom. Like, he's one of the best pitchers in the league. I listened to a podcast about it earlier. When he's out there, great. He is striking out batters left and right. But one of the biggest issues, and I know you've said this with me as well, is when is he going to be out there? How many games are we going to see? I think you might know the numbers off the top of your head, but it was something like insane the amount of games Zion has missed or played. What was it like? He hasn't even played like a full season, or.
Yeah, he's played like 114 out of 240 something or something crazy. And to be honest, I just don't see that getting better. I don't know. I'm not trying to go with Zach. I like him. I think they're a young, exciting team. It actually kind of frustrates me that he can't stay healthy because he's right. They would be very dangerous in the playoffs. Imagine that team with Ingram and him and all these other nice players they have, like role players that can step up. Alvarado gives people headaches. Um, yeah, I mean, it's too bad. I don't trust them at all. I mean, right now they're a 7 seed. I mean, they could realistically miss the playoffs.
100%. And based off last year, it seems like it's kind of a similar trend. They made the playoffs. They made that play-in. They made a little bit of noise. I'm pretty sure they eliminated the Lakers, or I might be thinking of 2 years ago, but they made some noise last year, a little bit of rumblings, but they were still missing that explosive player in Zion. I agree with you 100%. I think it's a team that can make noise. If Zion can stay healthy, then we're talking. But the big problem is if. The biggest word right there is if Zion can stay healthy. I don't think that he will. We've got Denise coming in here. Hashtag where's Rob? We've got Zach also following up on that, saying, I trust him. He will play in the playoffs this year. So I guess we're going to have to trust Zach on that. And Rob, the comments just flying in here. I don't have to cut promos. I get paid to show up, drop them all, and collect that check. All business, no play. James, the picture behind you is slanted.
It's not slanted.
Picture. He typed in picture. A baseball pitcher. So there's Rob coming in with our vocab of the day, and Zion saying all he needs to do is play. I mean, Zach referring to Zion, all he needs to do is play 4 games in a playoff round. So Zach's dumbing down the hopes there, and just want to welcome in Jameson here. Wanted to come say hi to the visit.
Can you say hi? Can you wave?
Hey, what's up, Jameson? Quick little visit from Jameson. I wonder what his thoughts are on Zion.
Can Zion stay healthy? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, there you go.
There you go, Zach. We heard it from Jameson. He got that literally right on the
Then
nail.
he hit the Zion button. Zion button is.
Jameson muting James. You gotta love that. Yeah, I like the Pelicans. I do. I love Brandon Ingram. I love the fact that they've got this depth. It seems like they've tried to go all in. The owners made some good moves. It just hasn't been the best of luck. They moved on from Anthony Davis. They drafted Zion. They went in and got Brandon Ingram. Then Zion gets hurt. They add pieces to try to help. I remember when they went out and got JJ Redick. Like, they're there. Like, talent-wise, I really do think that they can compete. It's just the question of Zion, and that's the biggest question mark there is. I think one of the interesting points that you talked about a little bit earlier, too, is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're undefeated against the Celtics. They're a young team. They've got a lot of depth, a lot of size, very big. Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen. I've got Jarrett Allen on fantasy. That's why I know about him. Pretty sure you have Mobley as well.
I do have Mobley.
So, yeah, they're pretty good. And Charlie O'Donnell coming in. Jameson with better analysis than Ben. So there's the first slander on Ben of the show. We'll take it easy on Ben this week, guys, please. Charlie coming in. He's keeping it. NBA, I like that. We'll maybe wrap this one up. Actually, before we get to... I'll get to Charlie's comment, and then we'll wrap it up with the NBA, move over to some NHL breaking news on the show, and a couple questions I want to get to for the Bruins.
Great alert.
Definitely. Big trade. That could shake up some things as well. We've got Charlie, though. What do y'all think about the Hawks firing their coach because of Trey? James, I might need you.
Trey's a fraud. This guy is not I don't think he can be a 1 or 2 on a championship team. They got lucky a few years ago. That's all I gotta say. I think they took advantage of like a weak year in the Eastern Conference. I think it's hard too when your best player is like really, really small. He can't play defense. They just go at him. I don't know. I like Trae Young, but I don't know. I don't like him being your best player on that team. That's just my opinion. I'm kind of hard on him. I'm not a huge fan.
I think it's completely fair. It's kind of crazy because you think of that run that they made, then they really just took like 6 steps back. I feel like the East has even it's gotten better since they've made that run. Now it's kind of not. Besides, I feel like it's very top heavy in the East, and then it's kind of just a free for all when you look at the 5th through the 10th seeds. But I agree with that. I think Trae Young could be a 2. I think the team might need to be constructed a little bit better. But I don't know too much about that situation. Did Trae Young did he not get along with the coach? Was there a rift there?
I mean, I read. Who was it? Charlie said something. Yeah, there was definitely reports a while ago. I remember reading saying they weren't getting along, and obviously in the NBA, they're going to pick the player over the coach. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, he essentially got him fired. I guess they obviously weren't performing. You had Murray in the offseason. They had high expectations. I just think they got lucky. I don't think they're that good. I mean, they're one game on, 50, almost 60 games in. They're one game under 500.
And that's the thing. I feel like that's kind of been the theme in the East is you look at all these teams, you look at from the 8th seed to like the 12th. I mean, the 12th is the Pacers. I don't believe in them. But even to the Bulls, it's like fighting around 500, a little bit under 500. And then the first, the top 6, I feel like, are pretty established. We'll probably all make the playoffs. Heat, Knicks could interchange there. But, the East, I think the West got a lot better after this trade. Kind of switching gears here, staying home on the home course here with the Celtics. They are finally back in action after a little bit of a length of a break here. Saw the All-Star break. We've talked a little bit on that. They've got their hands full. They're going to be on a 3-game road stretch here, going to Indiana, playing the 76ers in a big one, and the Knicks, who we previously lost to. I expect them to go 3 of 3, 2 out of 3, James, well rested. We know that the best 5 players on the Celtics I think they've played a little under 25 minutes together all at once because of injuries and health. Availability, back to that key point there. But they should all be back. They should be well rested. I expect them to go 2 out of 3 here, James. Maybe drop 1. But you know what? I'm going to even raise the bar a little bit higher. I say they go 3 and 3. They're the top seed in the East. I expect them to do that after a long break. I'm not sure what you're thinking, but...
Yeah, I think they win tomorrow night in Indiana. That could be somewhat of a trap game. I think Indiana's decent. I know they're 8 games under 500, but looking ahead to that Philly game, that ABC game, I could see it being somewhat of a close game, I guess. Who knows? Maybe they'll get blown out. But I mean, talking about I'm assuming. Yeah, I'll say 2 and 1. I'll say they'll lose to Philly. I think that's a huge game for Philly. And then I think they bounce back and beat the Knicks.
We've got Rob asking, show the cat. Romo's resting. I'm going to let him rest. We've got him with a couple more comments here. He's just really hammering in here at James. Would rather see Ben over this fraud of a sports fan. Hashtag James likes the Saints. We might have to get that picture going. He would hate that. Then he goes, wait, can we swap James' son in for James himself? Kid said one sports fact that I agree with, and I follow his sports takes over James. And I will follow. Then we've got Lewis in the building here. Let's go. Perfect timing, Lou. Big game, James, in the building, he said, and then he's responding. Oh, he's defending you. It looks like you got some defenders. Last person calling anyone a fraud when it comes to sports, period. Lewis clamoring in there to Rob. Any thoughts there, James?
Hey, I agree with Lewis there. Rob he won't even admit who his favorite team is. This guy can't talk.
We've been waiting forever. I feel like it should be a big show on Time Out Talks, the reveal. The reveal of when Rob's gonna reveal his NFL team. We can start with that. Nice clean slate, fresh start. It's just we've been chasing that for a while. We're gonna switch gears here a little bit. We're gonna talk Bruins. We can always come back to the Celtics. One of the hottest things I've been seeing on the media within Boston, we've seen a little bit of takes from the Celtics. However, we've moved forward. The Bruins. Should the Bruins make a trade? James, I'm just going to leave it open-ended with that before we get into a specific player. Do you think the Bruins should make a trade at the trade deadline?
I don't think they should. I think they have to. That's my take. I know they're the best team, President's Trophy, whatever, and hockey doesn't really... I mean, you could be the best team in the NHL and go down the first round. It's kind of weird. It's kind of... I feel like the NBA, you kind of have an idea of who's going to win it. or point out the top 6 teams, 8 teams bearing trades. I feel like NHL's a little tougher, but I would say they have to make a trade. They're so close.
I agree. I mean, I agree. I think they personally don't have to. I know one of those guys, and we've kind of previewed a little bit earlier, is Vladislav Gavrikov. He's got 3 goals this season. I know one of the I think the Bruins were kind of close. I know some people teetered out throwing Taylor Hall. Do you trade Taylor Hall? I don't personally like that. However, another little trade here to kind of think on here. The Senators traded Nikita Zaitsev to the Blackhawks for a 2023 second-round pick and a 2026 fourth-round pick for future considerations. So maybe the Blackhawks are trying to keep Patrick Kane in town. That was going to be my next question, James. Would you be willing to add more offense, like in a player like Patrick Kane? Would you ship Taylor Hall? Would you entertain that? I know it's kind of been.
I'm not trading Taylor Hall or anyone who's kind of like a core player on this team. I'm trying to add size. I think what they want to do is add size next to McAvoy, drop Grizzlick down. That's where you get, the I'm gonna butcher his name, but the kid, what's his name? Jacob. I don't know. It's Jacob C from wherever he is, or I'm gonna butcher his name. But then you have the Vladislav guy. I think they want to add size to the back end. So I don't know. I don't think they need offense. I mean, maybe, but I think they're fine. Just add another big body back there that can play with Charlie, that can bang in the playoffs when teams wear on you. I think they're gonna be fine. Their goaltending's been unbelievable this year. Hopefully Pasta doesn't go missing in the playoffs. Just scored his 40th goal or whatever it is.
Yep.
Krejci's really helped out. Obviously, everyone knew he would. He's like a quarterback out there, sets everyone up. I think if they had the right piece, this team should really win it. It'd be really awesome to see these guys win it. I feel like they really deserve it. I was really happy, Sweeney. I know he took some heat to go on another run. Maybe they have another year left too. Maybe not just this year, but I feel like Bergeron is. I mean, obviously he's appreciated in the NHL, but I still feel like he's a little underrated. One of the best two-way players, maybe. I root for them hard.
100%. Definitely got to be the best two-way player of our time, my time especially. I mean,
definitely.
It seems like every year he's winning the award for that. We've got Zach. Yes, they should make a trade. It has to be defense so they can beef up the back end of defensive pairs. Erik Karlsson going to Oilers, watch. So 2 little things there. I know Erik Karlsson has been a huge me and Zach have been huge on him. I'd love to have him in a Bruins jersey. He's kind of fell off since his Ottawa days, but I agree with Zach on that one. I would love to see them add a defensive piece. In all honesty, I know that the Eastern Conference has gotten a lot better. I personally don't think they have to make a move. I think that they're there. I know kind of history says just because you're going to be the best team in the NHL, that doesn't always mean the best thing for you. They kind of remind me of that Lightning team. They've got a lot of young players. When they won their championships, they're a dynasty. But I like this Bruins team. I know you talked on the 2 goaltenders, Linus Ullmark, Swayman as well. They're both killing it in their ends. You look at the defensive pairings, as Zach has mentioned. Charlie McAvoy finally doing his thing. And you obviously go out and get I'm blanking on his name, the defenseman that we got last year. Yes. What was it? Why am I blanking on his name?
The kid, the kid they traded for.
Yes, I'm blanking on his name on the show. I can't think of it, but he's been great since he's had like a full offseason with the Bruins. I think the Bruins are fine. Lindholm. Yes. Yeah, Hampus. Hampus Lindholm. Yep, got him from the Wild, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I like that move. I think we're fine. I think these two, and I drove home this point with Ben when he's been on the show, is that I honestly think having dual goaltenders goes a long way. You look at the Penguins, you look at, I believe it was that year with Fleury and Matt Murray. I think it can kind of go a long way. You look at Tuukka Rask and Tim Thomas when we had one in the past, but I like it. And we got it from the Ducks. I don't know why I said the Wild. It's the Ducks, Anaheim Ducks. But I personally don't think the Bruins have to make a deal. I don't think that they go out and get somebody like Patrick Kane. And I agree with you. I wouldn't even give up Taylor Hall for another defenseman. I know that some people have floated that around. I don't like that idea. I think you keep the core. And if anything, maybe you give up a pick for another player to join. But I'm not blowing anything up. I'm not making any crazy trades. I'm keeping Pasternak. I know he's got an extension on the way. And some people are iffy on that. I'm not making a big splash. I'm keeping my core. And like you said, this core deserves a championship run.
I just want to throw out there, so if you're iffy on a Pasta extension, you got to figure it out. This guy definitely deserves the bag, so you got to pay him.
I think even just, and I know how much we talk about, being one of the best players in Boston. This guy is one of the best players in the NHL. And I think when you look at a big bag and you look at paying guys like that, this is a marketable player as well. As much as I hate to kind of go and bring it into marketing, that matters. You see his face all over the Dunkin' Donuts stuff, the NHL All-Star Game, which doesn't get too much media attention. He's stealing the media headlines in that. This guy is a winner. He's a gamer. He's got that true star fashion to him. The only issue is, and I know you've mentioned as well, is his playoff struggles. I've hampered down on him on that. I think he'll figure it out. I think even putting aside the injury issues he's had and the wrist problem and going missing at times, I think it's a player you've got to sign, especially if you want to keep this core. I know you got guys like Bergeron retiring and Krejci as well, kind of on the way out, but you want to keep Pasternak, Marchand, you want to keep that. That can be the next core or duo, however you want to word it. Taylor Hall as well. I couldn't even imagine ever forgetting him, but that's my guy. I don't know why people would ever want to trade him either, but got to get him to an extension, I think, James.
Hey, two teams in Boston right now, could very real chance they both win it.
100%. We've got a couple comments here. One from Charlie. Do you think the Bees would be in this spot with Bruce Cassidy? I say yes.
Good question.
It's a great question.
I think we'll really. It's a good question. A lot of these guys have kind of made some comments about playing free. Having confidence in us. I'll say no. And I was a big Bruce guy. I really like Cassie. I thought they messed up with that. I obviously was wrong. For some reason they didn't. Kind of didn't work out at the end. It's too bad they lost to the Blues. I would have loved to see them win that. But no, I'll say no. Nope. I don't think these veterans liked him.
And I think it's one of those things too that some of the players wouldn't be here. I know there was kind of some rumor mill swirling around that Krejci didn't want to be here if he was here. Potentially Bergeron doesn't. He retires. He doesn't join back. I remember it was a complete whirlwind of just a bad feeling in Boston at the beginning of last year before we had announced a new head coach. However, things are looking great. I think we'd be in this spot just because of how, if you put aside the drama part which obviously is a thing you have to count in, but if you put into the fact here that the Bruins have all these depth pieces, they have the great goaltending, I think that they would be in this spot because of how much talent. But I like the move. I think it's great. Zach, to be honest, I'd rather trade draft picks for a defensive guy and keep all the guys on the offense together, to be honest. I couldn't agree with you anymore. I think that was kind of the point I was hitting at too, was add a little bit of defense, maybe a third or fourth line guy that you could kind of be a little anchor in those later lines. Those lines are going to be very important in the playoffs, but I like it. I think the offense is flowing. I think this Bruins team is just completely unstoppable. They remind me, and when I say remind me of Tampa, and I hate to do that because Bruins fans are going to sour, but that Tampa Bay championship run was just domination. They've dominated everyone, pure dominance. They kind of remind me of that. This team is just running away. They're looking for that President's Trophy.
Yeah, just be careful of Carolina. They're creeping up a little bit. I think they're 7 points behind. So it's kind of good, Bruins still got to keep it going.
We will get back to the Bruins a little bit later. We'll get back to them maybe next week. Let's move forward here. We've got a huge, lot of stuff happening within the NFL and this NFL offseason. We've had Derek Carr visiting not the Raiders, the Jets. Bill O'Brien's back with the Patriots. Very excited to hear your thoughts on that. I got a question brewing for you. We've got potentially Lamar Jackson on the move. There's plenty of stuff to talk about. James, I'm going to start it off with this before we get into the Patriots stuff. Derek Carr to the Jets. Does it happen? I know that in their pitch they said you could be a first round or you could be a Hall of Famer here. I think that's wild to me. That's just the Jets in Jets world. But your take.
Again, it's going to be one of those. I don't think he's as bad. It's not he's not as bad as Carson Wentz, but I'm getting Wentz vibes where they're just trying to hold on one sec, buddy. Oh, nice, thank you. This weird vibe. He's not that bad, but it's just plug and play. He was benched last year for Jared Stidham with Josh McDaniels when they traded for his best friend, the best receiver in the NFL that he had. I know Waller was hurt a lot. He had the best running back in the NFL last year. He had a team give him an extension, and he still couldn't get it done. Why is he going to get it done there? I don't think he is.
Love that Carson Wentz take. I think you look at both of those guys, same thing. Before Derek Carr snaps his leg, he's on the trajectory of being the MVP. Same thing with Carson Wentz. I think that comparison is literally perfect. And I think going from, you look at the Raiders, and I've mentioned this to Dylan, who was a huge advocate of them. He's a big Max Crosby fan. He likes the Raiders a little bit. I'm not saying he loves the Raiders, but he had this weird feeling about the Raiders this year. Same with everybody. You pair up Derek Carr with Devontae Adams. Plus, you look at the fact they were a playoff team, not this past year, but the year before in 2021. They've regressed. It's insane. Blanking on his name, but the interim coach there who probably should have just kept the job. He did a decent job there. I know, and I mentioned that their defense was weak, but still, excuses are excuses. You had Devontae Adams, like you mentioned. You also had Josh Jacobs, who was the best running back in the league. I mean, he was a guy who was Mr. Inconsistent. We thought he was maybe going on his way out. This year, he was great. Weird thing, Ben. Call you Ben. Weird thing, James. I don't know. I don't think he could fit in New York. I think it gives you a little bit more stability than a guy like Zach Wilson or, just rolling in the third overall quarterbacks here that just aren't going to do anything. And when I mean third overall, I mean third string quarterbacks. If you can get him on the right price, I like that. I like that he's a free agent, so you can kind of delegate on a cheap deal. Maybe I do a bridge thing, try to maybe harness some wins here. I'm not going all in on Derek Carr. I'm not giving him this huge bag. Maybe that's what he wants, but I think he needs to realize, in the Jets too, in order to make him this Hall of Famer, you just got to buy in. When I say buy in, and I know everybody's going to go, whoa, 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 I think of him like a Joe Flacco guy. Come in. Obviously, Joe Flacco was with the Ravens, but go into the Jets, establish yourself, win a couple playoff games, make some noise with this young core, but you're not going to be anything more than that. And I bring up Joe Flacco because the Ravens gave him way too much money. He ended up crumbling. And I know that's kind of a different subject, but I think if you're the Jets, you don't want to give another guy too much money.
Yeah, they're in a weird spot. I'm not even going to talk about Zach Wilson. He'll never play for them again. He'll be on the roster, but if he plays, it's because someone got hurt. They can pretend they're going to keep him all they want. They believe in him. That's fine. They definitely don't. I think Carr's going to get a lot of money from them. That's the thing. I could see 2 years, $60 million, 2 years, $70 million, with a lot of incentives. It's just a quarterback position. I don't know. I have to see it to believe it, I guess. I think they would be better off with Jimmy G, but I don't think they're going to do that.
I agree. Another guy, though, availability is the best thing. We'll see if he can stay healthy.
For sure.
Lewis even throwing out the suggestion here. Imagine Lamar Jackson goes to the Jets. I know, James, your big point is that he doesn't need a number one. He doesn't even throw to the guys. Maybe it's a little bit more spread out. They don't have a true number one. In New York, they have emerging guys. You've got Elijah Moore. Garrett Wilson, young wide receivers. Maybe you can make it do with just a bunch of guys like that, not like a number two one, but I don't know. I think
yeah. I mean, the Jets could be a nice spot for him. I know he's going to get like the exclusive tag or whatever. That's like a ton of money from the Ravens, so that he like can't sign with someone else. I was reading or something. But yeah, the Jets would be a decent spot for Lamar. I actually think he would do well there.
I could see it. Personally, I think they should go more with a guy like Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo. I think perfectly an incentive-based deal for someone like Derek Carr or Jimmy G. Give him a little bit of money up front, but you're not throwing the bag at him. You're not throwing a long extension. This is kind of just a bridge because they still can't figure it out. Maybe you get this bridge guy, you draft someone, have them kind of just learn the ropes under a guy like Derek Carr or Jimmy G who's experienced. Obviously, these guys aren't going to want to treat him with all this type. They're not going to give him everything that they can learn. But Jets are in a weird situation because they're like, I don't think that they're there, but they're making the right moves defensively. Offensively, they've gotten a little bit better. It's just the quarterback. And as you know, as everybody from the NFL knows, every football fan knows, the quarterback is the most important position. But I think they go with Derek Carr. That's where the rumors are showing.
Think so.
So, big question here. We've seen it on the screen. We can get a little bit into the Cowboys a little bit later, but you're the Patriots fan. That's why we got you on the show. What's the Patriots' next step, James? We know they have that 14th overall pick in the first round. They've got about $37 million in cap to spend. What do they do?
I think you got to fix that O-line. I think you need to get faster on the outside with your receivers. I think you need more production from your tight ends. I think you need to figure out Devin McCourty. That's a huge loss if he's not coming back. You need to address that. I'm curious. I am convinced they're going to take Zay Jones at 14. I convinced myself. I didn't think they would do it. I think they fell in love with him at the Senior Bowl. I'm a huge BC fan. This kid's legit.
Flowers?
Really? Sorry, Zay Flowers. Sorry, Zay Flowers.
Yeah, no, you're good.
He's got Tyreek Hill-esque skills. He's very, very good. I think they're going to do it. I don't know why. I just think they're going to take him at 14. They do weird things sometimes. They have different guys at the top of the board, and I think they see him as a true game breaker. And I think they see, all these teams that traded for receivers. I'm not saying he's going to walk in and be a number one, but I think he's going to make them a little more explosive. I think they're going to do it. That's just my. I guess it's a bold prediction because he's kind of slid up the draft board a lot. Yeah, but you got to beef up the O-line. You need Mac Jones to be better. Bill O'Brien hopefully can work with him. I know Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones didn't really play together. Or he didn't really play for him, but he stayed back and helped teach Bill O'Brien a little bit about what they were running. So there is a relationship there, but that's what I would do. Receiver, O-line, secondary. Maybe you add a linebacker too. So we'll see what happens. I mean, definitely they gotta fill some needs. So,
and we talked about that $37 million. Do you kick the tires around on a guy like Orlando Brown? Do you bring in Taylor Lewan, who just got released? You've got some money to play with. I know you're making that weird face, but offensive line, are you looking more for the draft? You sign a guy?
If I had to guess, they're going to draft some O-line. I feel like they've done pretty well there, unless they get some value guy. But I feel like they're going to spend on linebacker and safety and free agency, and maybe trade for a receiver or something, or whoever it is. The Hopkins rumors, and then the rumors that him and O'Brien don't get along. He compared him to like Aaron Hernandez or something crazy. But who knows? I think they realize that they need to get legit receivers. So we'll see. But this is put up or shut up for Mac Jones. So see what he's all about. We'll know by the end of the year this time next year if Mac Jones is for real.
Kendrick Bourne. This is a guy who was your best player in 2021, took a step back last year. You've got Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne. You just traded for Devontae Parker last year. What are you doing with all these pieces? And I know you're saying Zay Flowers. I like that bold take on Timeout Talks. James, they're going to hold you to that. Robin, Zach, they'll hold you to that take. Zach has a comment that we'll get to in a second, but do you sign a receiver? I know you're talking about the trade. I'm assuming you're talking about DeAndre Hopkins as somebody that they would potentially target in trade.
Yeah, I mean, Debo doesn't make sense to me because he would be 19 million dead cap to the Niners, so that really doesn't make any sense why they would trade him. Unless you're calling about like T. Higgins or you're trading for like a Tyler Boyd or something. I'm not saying number ones, but something like that because they're going to be in a sticky situation there. I'm not. I don't know. The more I think about it, I think they're gonna keep Bourne. He's on a reasonable contract. I think Bill O'Brien probably thinks, hey, we can get a good amount out of this guy. Contract here, he's gonna play. He's gonna come ready to play. I could be totally wrong. Maybe they ship him out right away, but I have a feeling they're gonna keep him. And Myers, I'm 50-50 on. I don't know if they're gonna. I could see him pricing himself out of here. So we'll see.
And that's what I was going to say as well. I'm hearing a little bit in the media talking about that. Jacoby Myers will probably get a nice little price tag, get himself to be on another team, something the Patriots probably will just realize, we probably don't want to pay this guy however much million. I'm just throwing a number around, but $15 million, we don't think he's worth that. We can go in a different direction. In that different direction, there's the draft, there's the picks. Do you spend some money? Does Bill O'Brien bring in DeAndre Hopkins again? I know that that's been rumored. I personally don't think that they do that. However, I will say you mentioned a name in Tyler Boyd, and that name intrigues me a lot. I think he is Patriot written all over him. Very underrated. I actually wrote an article about how underrated he was 2 or 3 years ago. Criminally underrated. I don't think that the Bengals are going to move on from T. Higgins as well. I know he wants a lot of money, but just having Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I think they'll somehow get it to work. I know me and you always talk about the fact of you can kind of play around with money. You can flex the cap a little bit. I think that they will do that. I think a guy like Tyler Boyd, you bring in Tyler Boyd, you have Tyler Boyd, Devontae Parker, you've still got Tyquan Thornton, that kind of speedster. Hopefully Kendrick Bourne gets back to himself. You run out the dual package and the tight ends. Hopefully Bill O'Brien can get a little bit more out of Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, who I think's been pretty good. But I don't think that you go crazy. I don't think you blow it all up for DeAndre Hopkins. I agree. I think you leave what's in the past with him and the Texans. I don't think he should come here. I think, like Charlie's point here, saw the Pats were looking at Allen Lazard, but he's not a wide receiver number one either. I think the Patriots just aren't going to go out and get a number one. I think that guys like Lazard or like a Tyler Boyd, they can win with them. However, I don't know if that's the Bill Belichick way. Zach chiming in here, and I think he's talking about your pick here. Pat's going to do what they do best and trade back with the first round pick or draft undrafted player rating. LOL. Pretty sure he's insinuating that they're going to draft somebody who shouldn't even be rated. But I don't know. I think you stay with that pick. This draft I'm not too inclined with, but I like the Zay Flowers. I know there's a couple other linebackers, defensive players. Even I've been hearing that it's very offensive line stacked as well. Maybe the Patriots booster up that offensive line around Mac Jones and spend that money elsewhere for the cap. They've got a lot of decisions. However, I'm going to turn things over to Dallas. I want your opinion on this one. They've got the salary. He's all perked up now. He wants to hear what I got to say. But we've got a lot of issues in Dallas. We've got $7 million over the cap. A couple pieces away. Is Dak Prescott the quarterback? You're hearing rumors about them looking at CJ Stroud. They've got a later round first round pick with the 26th pick. You got to sign Dalton Schultz. You got to sign Tony Pollard, Leighton Van Der Esch, Donovan Wilson, who had a career year. All these moves. Zeke Elliott, do you restructure? James, I just threw all that at the wall because that's all on Jerry Jones' mind. What do you think the Cowboys should do?
I mean, Dak, he is your quarterback. You have no choice. I would say you have to sign Dalton Schultz, and you have to sign Tony Pollard. If Zeke doesn't restructure, you move on. Draft a running back, or you drafted someone last year too, I think. But you need those guys. You need, hopefully Gallup another year, removed from his ACL, I should say. Hopefully he'll be all right. But yeah, you're gonna have to cut some guys, create some room. That's just how it is, especially when, you have a quarterback making a ton of money, whatever it is, 15, 20% of the cap he's making. It's not easy. It's not easy to win the NFL. The Chiefs are doing it well right now. But yeah, Dallas has some serious questions.
Percent, because it's like, who are you going to tag, Dalton Schultz or Pollard? I personally think, and I think I'm going to hear some scoffs from this, I think you tag Pollard. If you had to let one walk, it would be Schultz. And I say this because I hope Jake Ferguson, maybe you draft another guy, you try to do something with that. James is probably, and people are probably like, you're crazy. We saw what Jake Ferguson can do. I think Peyton Hendershot was decent too, undrafted guy. I think that they could make ends meet with the tight end production. You've got to hope too that CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, you've already got all this stuff invested in the receiving core. I know some people are probably looking at me like, don't do the Dalton Schultz thing. You obviously want to re-sign him. You don't want him to leave, but I lean towards Pollard being more important. I know you've mentioned as well, he's that X factor for the Cowboys. We were in that San Francisco 49ers game. I'm not saying we were going to win with him if he stayed in, but once he went out, you saw the massive difference in Dak Prescott, in his comfortability and how comfortable he was in the pocket. I think you got to bring Pollard back. I love Donovan Wilson. I also think it's a no-brainer. I think you draft a defensive player with this first-round pick in the draft. I like the Cowboys' offensive line. I've been hearing way too much about drafting offensive line. I know they've hit on the offensive line historically in the draft. I don't want them to do that. Go get a number 2 corner, especially if you got to make a decision between Trevon Diggs and Micah Parsons. But hopefully you make all ends meet and draft a number 2. We don't have a number 2. That's our biggest issue. A number 2 corner.
I like it. I feel like Schultz you have to keep. I just feel like he's the safety blanket. I feel like you can find a running back if he were to leave, but who knows? I mean, I think it's going to be a little different looking team next year for Cowboys.
As you mentioned, hopefully Michael Gallup takes that step. I'm not holding my breath on Jalen Tolbert. I don't know. I think it just didn't fit. He was somebody we drafted last year, second round. But let's move forward here with the last 10 minutes of the show that we've got. We've got a huge fight coming up next Saturday. We won't have you on for that one. However, this is a big one. John Jones versus Gone. 3 years in the making for John Jones, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong there, James. Interesting card. I know you've got a women's title fight as well. You've got Jeff Neal on the card, somebody that I know. I'm just throwing out some of the guys that I know there. I've heard of Jalen Turner, but Jeff Neal I know. And obviously John Jones and Gone. Who wins that fight? John Jones, Gone, and James. If you're looking to kind of put a little parlay, what are some fights that you're looking to look at for?
Jesus, this card is absolutely stacked. There's the Jalen Turner fight. I mean, he was supposed to fight Dan Hooker, but they replaced him with Gamrot, who is another legit top 10 fighter. That's gonna be the fight of the night, I think, right there. You got Bull Nickel, ultra hyped, fighting Jamie Pickett. Jamie Pickett's, pretty bad dude. You got Cody Garbrandt
on the prelims.
He's fighting Jones, who stepped in on short notice too. A couple short notice fights. You got Derek Brunson fighting Dupuis or whatever his name is, who just beat Darren Till. Man, this card is stacked. You got Ian Gary's on this card too. My God, sorry, I'm just looking at this too.
No, you're good.
John Jones, Cyril Gane. I'm gonna say John Jones wins. It's really 50-50 to me. I think Cyril Gane going up to heavyweight's tough though for John Jones. Honestly, it's really 50-50. I wouldn't be opposed to throwing some money on Cyril Gane. I don't know, though. It kind of scares me because John Jones can take him down at will, and Francis Ngannou took down Cyril Gane, and Francis Ngannou isn't really known for that. He's obviously known for his knockout power. I'm not saying he's not like a – he wasn't just known for wrestling. So that's – I'll say John Jones wins that. Shavkat, 16-0. He is unbelievable. I think he wins that. That's going to be a really good fight, too, with Jeff Neal. Jalen Turner's been just bashing everyone. Bo Nichols, they're saying the future of the thing. This card is stacked, man. This is a must-watch card.
I like that. As a casual, I wouldn't have even known. Guys like, obviously, John Jones, Jeff Neal strike out to me. I completely didn't even know / forgot that Dan Hooker was on the card. He is replaced by, a top 7. He's the 7th-ranked fighter in the lightweight division in Gamrot. James, if you're going a little parlay, what's your parlay? This juicy parlay that you would cook up if you're feeling on throwing some money on this 285 card.
Man, if I'm just, I mean, we didn't even mention Shevchenko too, the champ on there. She's minus 625. I would throw money on I would throw money on. That's a tough one. I would stay away from that one. I would throw money on Jeff Neal, only because I like the 380 plus 380. I don't know if he's going to win that fight, but the odds are really in your favor. I mean, Shavkat's minus 500. That shows you how, he's the real deal. Like, he's not a joke. I don't see odds for the Gamrot one, Jalen Turner. Wow, Bo Nichols minus 1,400. Oh my God. I would take Derek Brunson too. I think he can definitely win that fight. He's plus 200. I don't hate that. Ian Gary's minus 654. Yeah, I think a lot of these favorites are going to win, to be honest. So if you parlay some of these favorites, obviously you won't make a ton of money, but I think it's your safe bet. That's what I would do.
I like it. Sometimes the safe bet is the way to go, especially in the UFC. I like it, James. I personally think John Jones wins this one. I haven't watched Gane fight too much, but I don't think that's going to matter. John Jones, probably one of the best pound-for-pound fighters ever in the UFC. I know that even as a casual and somebody trying to get into the sport. So I'm very excited for that. Gane as well. I know he is nothing to throw around lightly based off of some of his matchups with Ngannou. I like John Jones in that. Some of the other fights I'm not too well-rounded in, but I think just alone, having that John Jones, having just him by himself back on this card makes it must-watch for me. And I just agree with Charlie O'Donnell. I think it's just a must-watch card because of John Jones in the draw that he brings to the UFC. We've got a couple minutes. We'll finish it on this one, James. Say John Jones wins. He wins it all. Who's next in line for him? Hitting you with like a future question.
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, they got a few guys at heavyweight. I saw that they were scheduling. Hold on one sec. They were scheduling someone else, like Sergio whatever. So the winner of that fight. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure what's next. I don't think the heavyweight division's that great. That's just my opinion.
The rankings have Stipe as second.
It could be Stipe for sure. Who's underneath him?
You've got
Is it Sergio?
Sergey, Pavlovich.
Yes.
You've also got Volk at number 8. I'm just looking down the list here. Curtis Blades. Tom.
I think it's Curtis Blades versus the second guy there. I think that's what they're scheduling. But I will say this.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're not like into the UFC or whatever it is, the Jeff Neal Shavkat is a fantastic fight. Shavkat, I've said this earlier, no joke. Jalen Turner and Gamrot is phenomenal. Gamrot just fought Armin and beat him. That's going to be a really good fight. Bo Nickel, Jamie Pickett, too. You got Cody Garbrandt. He had an epic run, few fights. And Ian Gary, they're saying he's the next kind of McGregor from Ireland. I think he's the real deal, unlike whatever his name is, the dude hopping around. What's the guy's name that? Yeah, Patty. Ian Gary's the real deal. So if you don't, so check. That's a name to watch.
I like it, James. Giving us with some insight here. We've got a couple bold takes on the show. Ben is not here to wrap things up, so I'm gonna leave it. I'll leave it to James to get the last word in before we end. But I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've got Celtics back tomorrow. Bruins also playing tomorrow as well. Nice little 3-game stretch. We previewed a little bit of what the Bruins we think, or should I say, foreshadow what the Bruins should do. Do they go out and get a defenseman? Do they stand pat? We'll get plenty of more NFL offseason takes for you guys later. We've got an agenda free coming upon the horizon at some point. We're making that. It's in the making. But just want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. As always, I'm Josh, host of Timeout Talks, joined by James here. But I'm going to leave it to James in Ben's position to end it with whatever he wants to end it, however he pleases. But thank you guys for tuning in.
I'll just say Bruins make a huge trade in the next 2 weeks. I think the deadline's like March 3rd or whatever. And I think, all right, I'll just say a prediction. Bruins, Celtics both win it all this year.